tonight, Tandy and Tyrone are getting a little hot and heavy. We are getting into the heart and soul of New Orleans, and no, not Greg. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin. Fight for my life.
I'm just still reeling off the
We got to pour one out for Greg, man. What's up, guys? It's season 1, episode 4 of Cloak and Dagger, Call and Response. You guys, this show is just getting better and better every single week. But before we get into all of that, we're going to break down. We've got some really good news and gossip this week. We have our character corner, which is really fun. We've got fan shout out. We've even got some fan art. So you guys are going to have to stay tuned for all of that. But before we get into that, I want to introduce my panel. I'm your girl, Drew Jones. And to my left is...
Hey guys, I'm Karla Beltran.
What's up, everyone? I'm Steph Sabraw. I'm so excited to talk about this episode.
I saw this episode before them, and I was like watching them watch it, and they're like, oh, I don't like Greg. And I'm like, interesting. Just wait.
I call you in every time. I'm like, Drew. And she's like, I know, I saw it.
So, what was your all's initial reaction to this episode as a whole?
I personally really liked how this episode was directed, the way that they were kind of going back and forth to where they kind of left off, and I liked that. In the beginning, we kind of think like, oh, wait, what's going on? But then we start going back to that same night. I really enjoy the fact that we keep going back to the same night. And then we see them play out like what happens after they've already spoken. So I really enjoy that. And I like the way that it ends, that we know that, oh, they didn't have a good ending. Like it went wrong, but at least they both went their own ways and they did the right thing that they needed to.
Yeah, I love this episode. The directing was really good. The writing was really good, which continues to amaze me about this show, because for just a lot of the superhero Marvel DC shows, you don't necessarily have, it's more plot driven. So I love that. I love the introduction of Tyrone's father's background, and that's probably what my favorite part of this episode. And that it's not just as simple as they could have made it. We still see struggling between Tandy and Tyrone figuring out each other and themselves.
Yeah. This episode, oh my gosh, I'm just so obsessed with this episode. From down to the New Orleans history, I love how much they're bringing that up. The race issues, there's a lot of feminist issues going on here. There's just so many different layers, and let's just hop into it because I'm getting overly excited. So we start this episode out with Tandy and Tyrone in the church, and like you said, it's kind of, we're watching this particular scene with them that took off from last episode, and then we're also doing flash forwards to what they do after the fact. So let's talk about, I want your all's opinion on how they're figuring out how their powers work. So like, do we all collectively get what's going on here? Like Tyrone, like what do you get? What Tyrone's like, the reasoning why his powers come into reaction? No. Steph?
Isn't it when he's feeling almost fearful or trying to get away from a situation? Isn't it triggered by his emotions?
Yeah.
Both of their powers are triggered by their emotions.
Both, yeah, but I think for different reasonings. For different things. Like Tandy's is when she has a lost sense of hopelessness.
Yes.
And then Tyrone's is, I think, when he...
Like helpless anger.
Yeah, when like his anger and like vengefulness kind of triggers.
Yeah.
I think
you made a really good point about how it's their dreams, or the dream sequence of when they saw each other coming into reality.
Yeah. Like I liked how they they come to the conclusion that they're each other's answers, essentially, is what the whole conversation is, like back and forth.
Yes.
But we kind of see
some flirting.
You know.
Yes, you are each other's answers.
You know, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad. Like, I know we kind of were talking about, like, we wanted it to be slow and but I was like, this episode made me be like, nah, never mind. We can do it now. We don't gotta wait.
My favorite part was when she was like, how do you not have a girlfriend with those eyes? I was like,
Yeah, Karla
with
looked at
those
me.
eyes, with those eyes, like I would.
And she hit a second compliment too. I was like, whew, she's going for it. And then he hit her with a compliment at the end too. And
Yeah.
I was like, dang, I really like the progression because it's not all inherently, it's not flirty at all. Actually, I think that's
No.
why it comes across so pure because it's genuinely like I found a counterpart and I genuinely see your truth and the power that you have inside.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that they said to one another that I think really explain their powers, and two, what they can possibly do for one another. I love that Tyrone tells her, I think you believe in hope. Like, because we've noticed Tandy's very, like, she wants to be that badass. She wants to be, I don't care about anything.
yeah.
And I like that he sees
The real her.
down to the core and is like, nah, I think you believe in hope and you want to believe in hope. There's just so much to dissect. I keep thinking of like, there's so much chemistry there. Like they can't touch because we saw what happens when they try to touch. They just like block. So the fact that there's so much chemistry there without them just like any physical contact is.
But the special effects also, they see me freak out every time that their powers are kind of triggered.
Yeah.
I love when Cloak in particular, when the kind of like the black smoke effect comes out, and then her dagger is obviously really dope, but the cloak effect is crazy. I love it. They're doing such a good job with it.
Absolutely. Their powers. So let's get into their powers because I think we learned a lot about them tonight. Early in the episode, Tandy says to Tyrone, it's like your darkest fears are playing out. That's basically what he gets when he touches people or like has a heat of the moment. We kind of saw that with his mom. I was kind of hoping we'd see it this episode again, just because I think it's an interesting thing. But we didn't. We did see it with Tandy and Greg, which we'll get into later because I was really sad. But then Tandy sees their hopes. Would you rather see people's darkest fears or would you rather see their hopes?
I would rather see their hopes.
I knew Karla was going to say
Carla's like,
that.
I love bunnies and hope.
And rainbows and unicorns.
I think I would want to see fears because I'm more of a fixer type.
Yeah.
I feel like, so I would want to know that to see what I can work with. Or
Check.
I'd be like, gotta go. Got to go.
Got to leave. Wouldn't that be so useful for when you're potentially dating people?
Yes.
And you're just like,
that was my first reason.
Commitment's your deepest fear. Gotta go.
Loyalty, goodbye.
Gotta blast. Chat, let us know if you are in our live chat right now. Let us know what you would prefer to peep, and we'll read some out later in the episode.
We're
Yeah,
bringing up the Team Cloak or Team Dagger again.
Yeah, still Team Cloak, but it's fine. So I thought something that was interesting was Tandy tells Tyrone to get to know the cop because she basically calls him out and says that, you know, you're not nearly as like hopeful and happy-go-lucky as you're trying to play off. You need to get to know this cop. And Tyrone combats that with, I am a black man in the South. I walk in there, they're going to see me as a thug. And she says, don't be a thug, be a victim. Do you think this is good advice?
Check your privilege,
No,
Tandy.
yeah, definitely not at all.
Let's talk about the whole privilege situation with Tyrone and Tandy. I keep calling him Ty because I feel like we're friends now. But let's go into the whole privilege back and forth with Tandy and Tyrone while they're in the church, just because it was a really intense moment, and I do think it's actually a very interesting take of privilege when it comes to women, but then privilege when it comes to being black. And it's kind of, I love that they're breaking it down. But what did you guys think of that? Like that whole situation?
I thought it was really interesting for her to not, I feel like just for her to not really be able to understand him in a way like, wait, but you're privileged because you have a family and you have everything that she's always wanted. But the difference is like she doesn't really understand how life is for him, and neither does he. You know, like vice versa, I think is like they both think that they're each of them is privileged in their own way, but for them they're not able to make the difference on how they are privileged. And I thought it was a really great dynamic of how they explained it to each other, because that was great for them to be able to understand a little bit more within their situation of like, well, yeah, but this is my background and this is your background, and like I really liked it, and I thought it was a great way for them to break it down so they understand each other a little bit more.
Yeah, I loved how they broke it down, and I thought it was actually, I've personally not seen it done like this, because we see this type of discussion all around in social media between, especially when Black oppression gets brought up or racism in society, and there is a group of white people that be like, well, I'm poor too, like I grew up poor and like in trailer parks or from the hood, like that doesn't, like I'm just as less privilege. And at the end of the day, it's like, yes, you did have struggles, Tandy. Your father was taken from you. You grew up poor because of that and all this. But Tyrone has to wake up Black every single day and go every single day into any store with people thinking, like he said, that he's a thug or something to fear. And that was really cool, because I feel like in a day that will set in and be like, he's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what I thought was really interesting was when she was, she's talking about the hardships of her life, and they're absolutely valid hardships. But when she's saying, like the scene where you saw me as a little girl roofing those guys in the church, like that's my life now. And he's basically saying you have the privilege. Your privilege allows you to do that because
seek vengeance.
Yeah,
almost.
your privilege allows you to seek vengeance, to have vengeance, to be able to walk up in somewhere where you can finesse these guys and get them into these situations. Because the second I step out of the door of my house, the world sees me as a Black man and all the things that come with being a Black man.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a very interesting back and forth that they brought up. I love that we got to see them break down last week's dream sequence. Something that Tandy said is that they both suffer from survivor's guilt.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I wrote that down. Because I was like, dang. Because I don't know anyone who's had that sort of guilt, but I can imagine, I've thought about it before, like in car accidents where the whole family dies or something like that. It's like, how do you recover from that? So I love that. But I do want to bring up, Ivan Soto from the chat said, when Tyrone said you should probably just kill yourself, that was too far.
Yeah, that was
that was
a little too much.
But it's teenagers. You have to remember that kind of language gets thrown around way too much. It's not valid, but I think it's emotion driven.
And I don't think it was fair for her to also say it to him, because in a way he is struggling through those thoughts, because she saw that, and she already saw the fact that he has, when he was in his dream, or I think that's what we're calling in the dream, like she did see him like maybe committing like suicide a couple of times. So I think it wasn't fair for her to kind of go back and say like, oh, well, I've seen you kill yourself multiple times, so why don't you just go ahead and do it? I think it was insensitive for both of them to kind of bring that subject up, and I think it could have been left out. But it
was good for their conflict.
It was good for their conflict.
They both have very interesting ways of viewing their life after these traumatic deaths that they have. For Tandy, it's a matter of I should have died, and that's her whole why I have the suicidal thoughts and whatnot. Is I felt like I should have been the one that died, not him. Like I would have rather died instead of him. Whereas Tyrone's situation is he feels pressure that he now has to live two lives.
Yeah.
So like even though we see that he has those thoughts of dying and all those things, he can't. Like he literally can't, because he has the pressure of having to be the perfect child for his parents because they've already lost the one. Tandy put it really great where she said that she felt like the symbolism of holding on to the checks, like from the dream, was feeling like you didn't deserve to cash them.
Yeah.
Which I thought was dope, and like that it was a sense of atonement.
Yeah, that was because we were kind of wondering last time, because is it like just a government check? Like, is it some sort of payoff because they didn't really get answers for the case? And so it was really cool that they made it just more metaphorical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Before we move on from that little situation, do you guys have any more points from the church? the church scenes.
We were right that it was their meetup scene. There was going to be the spot.
Yeah. It's going to be the crib.
And it's always going
God
to be
is
the spot
watching
for them.
over.
It's always going to be their spot to meet.
Yeah. There's a very interesting, like, take. I mean, Marvel and DC both have very interesting takes on religion. Cloak and Dagger is really going for it. There is a particular line that Tandy said when it came to survivor's guilt, you can't have God without guilt and vice versa. And I was like, dang. Oh, okay.
I like how open this show is, though, about bringing up really tough subjects that most people don't feel comfortable about. And that's one of the things that I love Freeform for. Freeform is definitely a network that's completely comfortable about bringing up many different subjects. And I think it's awesome. I love how they bring it in. And especially within characters, because you see these characters and you're like, okay, like I can relate, but they're like superheroes, they're like Marvel, and like it makes it a little bit easier for you to open the topic and the conversation to talk about.
Yeah. Speaking of being able to cover so many subjects, Karla,
Yes.
let the people
I
know.
have something to tell you guys. Hey AfterBuzzers, here at the network we produce after shows for nearly all your favorite TV shows, from dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more. There's no network that works harder to serve television fans. But now we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. Besides helping us a ton, here's what's in it for you. It caters specific content you already like directly to you. It brings you your favorite after shows so you don't have to seek them out. And it suggests content from other channels or podcasts that might interest you. Subscribing to our YouTube channels will also help you discover new shows we're sure you'll love. Since you're already tuned into our after show, we are in the sci-fi channel. You might be interested in Black Lightning, Gotham, and what's another show that's sci-fi?
That currently we're covering right now. Why am I having a brain fart? Into the Badlands is really good.
Okay.
Preacher.
Luke Cage.
Luke
There's
Cage!
so many.
Luke Cage.
Clearly, you have to. If you haven't checked out Luke Cage, we clearly have to check it out together. And remember that we have channels for other genres too. Please don't be shy about subscribing to them either. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be. They're totally optional. It's easy. Hit the subscribe button now for an even easier AfterBuzz experience. And if you let us know that you did in the comments, we'll shout you out on air. Thanks for being the best fans. We promise to continue to do our best to serve you.
Fun fact, AfterBuzz is actually the reason I got into Luke Cage in the first place, because I was watching, before I started doing Black Lightning, I was watching a bunch of the other panels, and it went into Luke Cage, and I was like, what's good? You gotta watch this show. So I'm just saying, you can find your new favorite show thanks to AfterBuzz. So you should do it. This really, listen, okay. This whole the Greg thing made me so sad.
Karla was about to cry.
I was literally about to cry.
It was very sad. But so we see, after. We're seeing what's happening with their storylines after this particular night in the church. And for Tandy, it's her deciding that she's going to figure out what happened with her dad. She's going to finally stop running away, and she's going to do something. And so she talks to her mom about, why did the rig break? What does she know about Roxxon? And, is this Greg character really helping them? Or is he just, trying to get the cookie just like any other of the boyfriends that Tandy's mom has dated? What did you originally think about Greg from the get-go?
I don't trust no man. Any guy that walks up married is a red flag for me. But, thanks to Tandy's special power, which clearly I guess I need. Now, the more that I think about it, I kind of probably need that. But I love the twist on it that we were able to see his truth through her. So that really did make it a killer.
Yeah.
Literally. Sorry.
Can I talk about Greg in general?
Yes.
Okay. So, in the beginning, obviously, I think we're all taking off at the fact that he's a married man and he's chasing another woman. I think in the beginning, obviously, it puts up a red flag for everybody, and it also did for me. I can't say oh no, I thought he was very genuine. But when he showed up with the groceries, and honestly, I feel like any man that wants a real relationship with a person who has a child will definitely try to build a relationship with that child. And once I saw him kind of try and interact with Tandy, immediately I was like, okay, he actually is sincere about the situation, because if a man really is in it just because he wants you because you're a female, then he's not actually going to take the time to get to know your daughter or get to know your son and be like, oh wait, like, you know, let me see, like, what do you like? Do you like fajitas? Do you like cooking? Like, you know, type of deal. And then obviously it really helped that Tandy was able to see his hopes, which it helps, but at the same time, that's kind of in a way what broke our heart when he was killed at the end. Well, not at the end of episode, but like during the episode when he is killed by, we don't know who, but this mysterious person. And I think that's what, like, we created this bond with Greg for like these couple of minutes, and then within a second he was gone from us, and we're like, it really had a huge impact on us, I think, just as it had with Tandy, because she was able to see the hope that he really was being genuine towards his mom, and that he really did want to have a relationship with Tandy as well.
I agree. So let's get into a little bit. This is the first time we see Tandy use her power with purpose. Yeah. And so we get to look into his hope, and we see Mama Bowen, and she looks good and healthy, you know, and she's hanging out. It sounds like they're about to move into this new house. He's going to carry her over the threshold, which I'm pretty sure is alluding to the fact that they're engaged or getting married, because that's like a traditional, you bring the bride in through the threshold of the house.
I think is that a Southern comment?
Yeah, maybe that's a Southern thing. I don't know. I'm Southern, so
you can't tell.
You can't tell. But yeah, that's like a traditional thing. So I think that's what that was alluding to. We see Tandy herself in it, and she looks good. She looks good and happy, and they're cooking together, and it's like this happy, united family. I really like that they broke down that everything isn't. I love the show because they break down that everything's not black and white. A lot of things are in the gray. So yes, he is technically married, but as we see throughout the episode, it's a lot more complicated, and it's
and
like
he does state in the episode, I'm sorry to interrupt, but he does state in the episode that he is going through the paperwork of divorce.
Right.
Well, that's what every guy says when they're in the divorce, but I do think that he has a little more truth to his statement. I do like, though, that Tandy followed him there, and that's where she sees him getting killed, because she's smart enough to know this is Roxanne. Yeah. It has to be.
Yeah.
So I really like the Tandy and Greg kind of team up, and where she comes in and she's like, once she realizes his intentions are good, she comes in and is like, what do you know? Like, are you actually helping my mom? Like, what is the situation here? And so we find out basically that even though the rig is crashed, there's still a lot of paperwork and money transfers going on with this rig.
Permits,
Shell Corps, they're still running money. So it's a very suspicious thing. So obviously there's something going on here, which is obviously why Greg gets shot.
The chat is saying, do we think it's for Bella or Kingpin?
Listen, okay. I'm going to say it now because I was going to save it for fan shout out. But shout out to Nicholas Kelly. I know you're in the chat right now. You tweeted me something really bomb this week that actually made my head blow up. I texted Steph, I think immediately after, and I was like, yo, look at this tweet. But Nicholas noticed last week that the rich guy that she stabbed, from the first episode, the rich guy that she stabbed, in his bathroom were the initials RF, which, if you don't know, is Richard Fisk, Kingpin's son, RF. Richard Fisk is a tool, who is a part of Hydra. If you are a Marvel fan, you know who Hydra is. If you're not a Marvel fan, Hydra is basically, it's like Nazis Hydra. Like in the comic books, they are connected with the Nazis. If you've watched any of the Captain America movies, that's who Nazis. Captain America, Chris Evans' fine self, is fighting in those movies. So that would be a very cool. I think Kingpin might be, but Bella also would be interesting because that's very New Orleans. So I don't know.
There's gonna be. I'm waiting for that season 2 announcement because we'll have multiple.
Yeah, right. There's so many that Yeah, I don't know. I would love to see that. I'm really sad about Greg, you guys. I watched it at home, and then I watched it with you guys, and it didn't hurt any less watching it the second time, especially because I'm still standing very firmly behind the mom's addiction is getting better throughout these episodes.
Yeah.
Right? She looks healthier each episode.
Definitely.
And I think it's a natural being around, because Tandy's coming around the house more.
Yeah.
So I think it's a natural healing thing, because in the comics...
We wondered that. We hope that. I still hope that's the case, where her presence kind of, and Tyrone said the same thing, like something about being with her is the best feeling until when they touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And spin the other way and hit the wall.
yeah. By
the way, guys, just so you know, I think we feel really bad for Greg because we were able to see his hopes. Just
That's a
throwing that
good
out there.
point.
That is.
Sweet, sweet Karla.
Sweet Karla.
That is such a good point. Oh man, I can't believe he died like that.
And you know what was more heartbreaking than anything? Just because, one, we're seeing Tandy and her mom kind of fix their relationship, and it's beautiful. But when Tandy comes back from seeing Greg get shot in the head, which graphic Freeform,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we hear her mom in the other room calling Greg and trying to work it out.
Six voicemail.
So hard.
Six-
That's so hard. And I can't even begin to imagine how Tandy would even... I'm pretty sure that Tandy's not even going to tell her mom anything. I think Tandy's just going to wait for her mom to find out through the cops that he has been killed, or maybe something. I actually am really interested to know if the mom finds out that he was killed, or if they kind of make up the story that, like, oh, he's back with his wife and never wants to hear from you ever again, or something like that.
So we end Tandy's storyline with, we see her standing on this bridge, and she's putting chains on her feet and tying up her hands, and we're like, ooh, girl.
I was calling Drew, like, Drew!
What's happening? Where's she going? But we
Clearly nowhere.
yeah, but we see that Tandy's figured out how to trigger the dagger. And she takes it to go get the documents that are in Greg's now burnt to a crisp office. R.I.P. Moment of silence for Greg.
We love Greg.
R.I.P.
Who in the chat just said, oh, Billie Jean Girl 24 said, Drew, you want a moment of silence for Greg?
We can take one real quick. Okay. That was beautiful.
And you're a great actor. Greg,
Yeah, Greg-
you sold me.
Right? You made me not like you, and then you made me really like
Those
you.
blue eyes, I was like, okay, I like that smile.
So, so good. R.I.P. All right, let's get into Tyrone's story, because this was such a cool... I'm loving the New Orleans references. I told y'all I was Southern. My mom is from NOLA. I get real hyped about this, but let's get into it, because we see him kind of butt heads with his parents earlier in the episode. And then, he decides he's going to...
By the way, now I understand why he woke up in a bad mood. I was like, wow, he should be happy that he just had like a great meeting with Tandy. But now we understand why he's like upset when he first goes down, is because the way that their meeting ends is not good.
Yeah, that's a very good point to bring up. So he gets kind of butthurt with his parents, decides to go pretend like his bike's stolen, goes into the police station. I was about to say office, and I was like,
Probably
that's not
because she
right.
told him to play the victim, and we were
Yeah.
like,
Doesn't quite work that way. So he tries it, gets very
Nervous.
overwhelmed and
Yeah.
nervous, and decides to peace out. And so he comes back, and his dad basically is like, where's my bullet cutters? He gets caught with them. And his dad instantly has what I think a lot of
Dads.
a lot of black parents fear. Like, this is where, so-and-so got into trouble. In this case, is where Billy got into trouble. And, I'm worried. And so he takes him to a remote place, to the 9th Ward, which if you're not from NOLA, or you've never been to NOLA, 9th Ward is like it's like the Compton of LA. It's
Okay.
it's especially much more run down after Hurricane Katrina. It's one of those places that's never been built back up, really. He takes him to the 9th Ward, and Karla, you want to we can kind of go into our character corner a little bit. If you don't know what character corner is, it's like where we like to shine our we like to
specific characters from the show. And today's
go for it.
specific character is going to be the Mardi Gras Indians, which is pretty much what this crew is. They're so they wear it's not a costume, it's like
beaded garb.
It's a costume. Each one, like, there's a it's just like so they started because Native Americans and slaves, they kind of banded together, and like it was especially in the South, they kind of helped each other out. And so these costumes are celebration of that. And each one is particularly different.
Yeah, and every year they actually make a new costume. And the dad did specify that every year is because you're a new person every year. And you can't really mess up when you're creating the design for your thing, because then you have to start all over again. And it takes years to kind of master the way that you're going to make it. But it is these Drew was telling me that these could actually weigh up to 150 pounds, and people wear them, and they actually wear them on like Mardi Gras Day or like Super Sunday. I read there's actually like a link that you could totally read up on Mardi Gras Indians. And then I found it really interesting when the dad talked about the spy boy. So the spy boy literally does exist in these crews, and the spy boy is literally what it stands for. Is it's a spy, and the person kind of goes out and they put themselves out in danger every day just to make sure that they find out what's kind of happening on a day-to-day basis, so that they could come back, let the crew know, so that they're aware of what's going to happen, or if they have to prepare for something, and yeah,
they're super interesting.
Yeah.
I love the historical background that they feed into the shows very seamlessly and in a really cool cultural way, because someone not from the South, I've never heard of this, like these types of crews ever, this type of cultural like amazingness.
Yeah. It was something, like you said, it was so seamlessly done. It's something that is very much real. And I have uncles who are a part of the Flaming Arrows, which is a crew, a Mardi Gras Indian crew. Awesome. There's over like 50 different types of crews.
Yeah, that's what it says. So that there are more than 50 tribes in the city, and each march to the beat of their own drummer, like literally, with formal hierarchy. And the Indians grace the streets of New Orleans neighborhoods in friendly competition over which chief is the prettiest. Ooh. Which I thought that's so cool. And I was like, I want to like go and actually be able to see this live, now that you know that there's like a different meaning behind it, besides people just like wearing super cool outfits marching down the streets of New Orleans.
Yeah, so it's like if you've seen Mardi Gras pictures, the men with the big headpieces and all of the beading, those are the Mardi Gras Indians. And in this case, we get to see we see that there's a whole closet of unfinished pieces, because this is a very sacred and very intimate thing to be a Mardi Gras Indian. They do the beading themselves. Like I said, I have uncles who are Mardi Gras Indians, and it is very like, it takes all year. It's not something that you just like decide. Time consuming. Yeah, it's very time consuming, very stressful. So a lot of people don't want to do it, and so they give up. And so, Tyrone's dad sends him into the closet, and Tyrone connects with a particular piece. Before we even find out whose piece it is, what are we thinking?
I was just thinking he found, you
cloak,
said it too, where like, this is the costume, this is his costume, this is Cloak.
Yeah.
And then you put that on top. I mean, what was your initial thoughts?
Well, in the beginning, I was like, well, that's so awesome that he finds his cloak inside the closet of the Indian Mardi Gras. I think that's so cool that like he's a part of it, without him even knowing, like he's been a part of it. And this cloak, his cloak has been waiting for him. And then just to find out on top of everything who is the owner of that cloak, which is like,
so we see, before we even find out who the cloak belongs to, we see Tyrone staring at the wall of pictures, and we see R.I.P. our boy Billy up there, and we find out that Billy himself was training to be a spy boy. Otis was a spy boy, and so as Tyrone is going in the closet, he connects with his cloak and he brings it out because he's like, I'm gonna finish this piece. His dad kind of has a freak out because this cloak is Billy's.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Which
I was like, I'm gonna cry.
we all were like,
you did that. And then when he said for Billy,
I'm a march for Billy. I was
Billy.
like,
That's what this episode should have been called, for Billy.
For Billy.
it just, but I love it because I love that it ties into, this whole time we thought that his cloak was going to tie into Billy anyway because Tandy had Billy's hoodie, and every time she put it on, we're like, oh, that kind of looks like the cloak. That might be the cloak. And
yeah, but the hoodie actually doesn't even belong to him. It belongs to the brother.
Yeah, exactly. So we felt like the hoodie was already Tyrone's cloak was going to be connected to Billy already. But I personally thought that the hoodie, Billy's hoodie that Tandy had been carrying around for forever.
Oh.
I thought that was going to be the cloak, or like a somehow like integrate into the cloak.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's a legitimate cloak that's still Billy's,
Yes.
is absolutely.
It just shows how
I
good
love
the
that.
show is, though, because, I mean, this wasn't even, they didn't have a certain setting until a few months before they started filming, and then they picked New Orleans. And so they've incorporated this cultural ties with the actual comic costume in
Yeah.
this way, and it's mastermind.
Honestly, I give a complete shout out, and I feel like we shout out the writers for this show all the time, and I feel like writers need to be shouted out more often from shows, because literally the actress is what brings these characters to life, but the writers are the ones who did all of the work before to
Pre-planning.
kind of like, and writers do a lot of research in order for them to start writing a scene. Like, a scene could have taken them like at least 3 days of research, and it'll probably just be a scene that to you might be like seem not important, but when you really take it down and you break it down, like especially this, like, okay, they could have done anything for the cloak, and the fact that they made this so special, like I feel like the cloak itself is now even more special with the background of the fact that it's from the Mardi Gras Indians, and it's from this crew, and then on top of that it belongs to the brother. It's just shout out to them. It's amazing.
It definitely plays more into like the divine pairing thing that we're kind of waiting to see if this is like how they're gonna play it out. So I love all of it, and I love that we kind of get to see Otis, who is Tyrone's dad. We get to see like him just be human, you know, because we understand why the Mr. and Mrs. Johnson are so professional and so put together because of the loss of Billy, and because, you know, there's this intensity, especially in the South, to be on point all the time because you just don't know what's going to happen. And so it's nice to see, you know, his roots. It's nice to see Tyrone get to see his roots and see like this like level of humanity with his dad. And we kind of end their storyline with Tyrone cooking breakfast for his parents and, you know, goofing with his dad and hearing his dad's old stories. And I thought that was like a perfect way to.
I think that needed to happen in order for them to have a connection together, because neither of them have somebody to actually tell them what's going on. And I don't know that Cloak would probably, or Tyrone would actually tell his dad about his powers, but maybe now that he feels comfortable with his dad because his dad opened up this new door to him, he might feel comfortable to also share this new part of his life with him as well.
Yeah. I think this is showing that Tyrone and Tandy, Cloak and Dagger, really do heal one another, because we've been slowly seeing her and her mother get along better, and we're seeing her mother come off more and more sober, and now we're seeing kind of like the ice melt from his parents and seeing them be a little more connected and not so distant. So I am super hyped for all things to come. But before we get into news and gossip, we appreciate you guys like a lot. We really dig you all.
A lot.
Like a lot. We think,
A lot.
We think you're pretty cool, and we hope you think we're pretty cool. So we just want to do a couple of shout outs. I wanted to shout out Steven Atkins. You posted last week and you said, I love the fact that most of the episode was a double spirit walk to teach Tyrone and Tandy Anita to approach things in a different way, and they need each other to survive. We asked you guys last week if you all had a couple of ideas for their ship names, and you guys gave us some cute ones. I really liked T&T from Rory Fansler. That's a mouthful. Rory Fansler. And and
TNT.
And someone else gave me a really good one.
There were so many.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, none of them have really, really done it for me.
Yeah. One of
I think it's just because I like Cloak and Dagger.
I believe it was Jasmine Jones gave us Clagger, which I thought was fun. Clagger.
Oh.
That's cute.
And then one of our
Tidy.
Producers.
One of our producers here, shout out to Roxy, our girl, gave us tie-dye.
Tie-dye.
I love
tie-dye.
that. Okay, I love that one. But yeah, shout out to you guys. We also had some fan art this week that was hella dope. This is from our boy Stevenson's drawings. If you watch any of our Marvel or DC shows, you'll probably see Stevenson up there a lot because he's very dedicated to giving us dope art.
That's so cool.
Well, thank you, because this is fire.
So
Yeah,
cool.
seriously.
This is from last week when Tandy is talking to little Tyrone. At first, Steph was like, why is Tyrone short?
I was like, how are they going to do that to Tyrone?
But it was like, it's baby Tyrone. But
and
this
he's
is
holding the basketball and stuff. That's so cool.
so cute. We're still waiting on our picture, Stevenson. You can make me Cloak. Thanks.
And also,
And I'll be Dagger.
I do want to shout out some people in the chat because you guys make this lit every single week. Ivan Soto, ZSB, Lou, Malik Rayfield, the Queen of Regal, Howling Wolf, Nicholas Kelly, Incan TV, Renji, 90998. You guys are so awesome. D. Monets, Man Milk. I'm not sure how I feel about that name.
I love
G1X Rider. You guys are so fun. I love talking to you guys in the chat. But also, let's get to some news and gossip.
Well, before
Yeah.
we get into news and gossip, if you enjoy talking to us, we want you to keep talking to us. And if you do, we actually have a really dope surprise if you have been faithful with us all season long. Karla, do you want to tell them about the comic book?
Oh, yeah. So we have a comic book, which we don't have here presently right now.
Because our boy
But,
Ollie has it.
Yeah,
We miss you,
but
Ollie.
If you guys tune in and if you comment on our YouTube or on iTunes, we're going to be having a draw at the end of our season, and we're going to get some guests in here. Hopefully, they're going to be able to sign that book, and we're going to get it over to you. So go ahead and comment to be a part of our show every week. We're watching you guys, even though there's so many of you guys who really are keeping an eye out, and we love hearing what you guys have to say. And
Yes.
and we know you want this comic book, so definitely
I
stay
want
tuned.
it.
All right, Steph, give us some gossip. Give us
News
some tea.
and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so we did see the Cloak this week, and the showrunner did confirm that we will be seeing nods to the costumes, and that they're going to be pretty truthful, if not perfectly truthful, to the comics.
Woo!
So yes, we love that.
So excited for the Dagger comic.
Yeah.
For the Dagger comic, for the Dagger costume.
Same.
We did find out that this is Aubrey Joseph, aka Tyrone's favorite episode to film, which I can't blame him. I mean, every episode gets better, so I don't know, but this one was so good. And Aubrey Joseph also did confirm a ship name. I don't know if he knows the severity of him tweeting it, but it's confirmed once he tweets it.
Yeah.
And
It's real now.
He said, how do you say it?
I say
Tyrandy.
It's Tyrandy.
I say tyrandy, like tyranny, like tyrandy.
And I said Tyrandy.
I say Tyrandy.
Someone who's from the South really now. Tyrandy.
But that's on his Twitter. You guys should follow the whole cast and Cloak and Dagger on Twitter. Anyways, keep tweeting at them. Let the Freeform know that we want season 2.
Make sure. Let them know that they want season 2, and make sure to tweet to them and let them know that you want them on AfterBuzz.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
You know,
definitely.
because we're working with them, but if you guys help us work with them, anything is possible if you just believe. Let's get into, was that all the news and gossip?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much for giving us the tea. Let's get into some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I just want to meet the guy who says this stuff. His voice is so soothing. Who wants to go first?
I actually don't know that I have any predictions.
That's okay.
Because my predictions would have been for Greg, honestly, and then Greg died. So my prediction, there goes my prediction.
This show is pretty hard to predict for me. All season 1s are pretty hard for me, and I like to just be surprised. But I do think that we will see some issues with Tandy's mom come in when she finds out that Greg was just shot and killed.
Yeah.
And but I know that Tyrone and Tandy will have to meet back up together.
Yeah.
And I think this episode will see their powers actually, them being able to touch and take their power to another level. And I think that we'll get Detective O'Reilly in next episode. I think we did see a little preview of that with Tyrone. So I'm hoping that they can work together somehow and get this figured out.
Just came up with a prediction.
Go for it.
My prediction is going to be that I think Tandy's going to end up helping Tyrone with Detective O'Connor. I think that she might want to touch him to kind of see what his hopes are, to see maybe if he really does feel bad about what he did with his brother. So I have a feeling that Tandy's going to get in the middle of this.
The Vita and Tyrone thing was like kind of random this episode because like they made out in the photo room and then that was that. So I feel like, I don't know, next week I think I want an Evita and Tandy crossing. Not because I want women being catty to each other, but I just want to see that dynamic. And also I'm still kind of like,
Drew loves the drama.
I love a good cat fight. No, I want to, because Tandy sees hopes, I want to see, because we weren't so sure of Evita's intentions. I know you guys weren't so sure of Evita's intentions. So I think Tandy's going to be sus of her, or suspect, if you're not hip with the lingo. So I want to see, like, what her hopes and intentions are. And I do agree. That we're going to see O'Reilly and Tyrone link up, since that's how he kind of ended his episode, or his storyline.
Good call on that.
Yeah.
Good call.
I actually think that we might not see a lot more of Evita.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we will, but not as I don't know if she's a good guy. I don't know if she's a good guy. I don't know.
That's what you were talking about. I was like, I think of something.
Debating. But I love that they're kind of flirting. I don't know. We'll see. But you guys, let us know what you think. Your all's predictions are. You know what's going to happen next week. Let us know. We love hearing from you guys on Twitter and all of those things. Until next time, where can they find you guys?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Steph Sabraw. Make sure you guys comment and leave us comments on iTunes also. We love that.
And hey guys, you can follow me on Instagram at I am Karla Beltran, or on Twitter, Karla Beltran with an R at the end.
And I'm Drew Jones. You can follow me on all the things at OKDrewJ. Make sure to tweet me your theories about this show. I love hearing it. And we'll have Ollie back with us next week, and if you want to follow him, he's at Ollie Dreamer. And until next time, we'll see you all.
Ciao.
Bye.
Tyranny.
Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.